What's up, everybody? Tuesday night. Tuesday night means 9 o'clock on the sharp, on the dot. 9 o'clock on the dot, something like that. We're going to have to change this. I will probably talk to this a little bit more as we move forward. But Tuesday nights are live chat nights. Those are going to be moving to Monday nights because they decided to change my work schedule on me. Monday nights could still be fun, though. We could definitely have a good time with that. So yeah, let's let the guys come in. We got someone on call in the RN. That's pretty sweet. What kind of, I don't know, what kind of hospital work do you do? Are you, I guess, what division? Are you guys in the birthing center? Are you in, I don't know. I don't want to get depressing. Hospital talk can get depressing. But yeah, got myself my drink here. Packers come off of a 31-24 victory on Sunday night against the Kansas City Chiefs. So you got to love that. It was a quite the up and down game. A really hot start. Thought I was going to run away with it for sure. You'll notice there's some changes to the decor. So, you know, up here we got ourselves a little subscriber bar. We got some viewers up in the corner. We'll give a second here for people to get their notifications to log on in. We'll start answering some questions, some dying questions from you Packer fans. As we come off of a 7-1, we're 7-1 record, coming off of that big Sunday night victory against the Kansas City Chiefs. Very early on in the season, would have never predicted that would have came to fruition by any means. Alrighty then. So yeah, I mean, a couple talking points as far as the game is concerned, as people start to. Can you call in? Can you call in right now? You want to call in? Oh, that's what you want to say. I thought you said you were on call as an RN. Please for just 5 minutes? Sure, let's figure this out. Don't got a whole lot going on right now, so let me figure out where my Discord is. I'll copy the link down below. We'll take a live call. We haven't taken a live call in quite some time. So, we go here. We go here. We're in there. So I believe if you look up Pornler Packers podcast. On Discord. So look up Pornler Packers podcast on Discord. We'll take some live calls. At least we'll try to. We've only done this once before. But I'm going to make Grant Mudre's day. Hopefully. Let's see if we can do this. You're the first one to log in, so I'm going to give you some special treatments for sure. Will the Packers regret not making a trade? Oh, well, let's just say this much, right? I am so glad the trade deadline has come and gone. I've had numerous conversations, whether it's with coworkers, whether it's with people on Facebook or Twitter, just out and about, and they always were saying, you know, the Packers need to go get AJ Green, they need to go get Emmanuel Sanders, they need to get Antonio Brown very early on. I'm just glad we have our Packers team set. Now we have our Packers team set to a point, right? So if you missed some of the breaking news, we did release Evan Bayless and we did release Darius Shepard, so they are no longer active members of that Packers squad. We did bring back Tremon Smith. He will be our punt returner / kick returner, and then we have to look forward to good old Jay Sternberger coming off of IR. He will be our go-to guy when it comes. Well, maybe not our go-to guy, but he'll get his opportunities now in that Packers offense at tight end, and I'm very excited to see where that can take us. But I don't think the Packers will regret by any means not making a trade. It is what it is. I'm pretty happy with what we have at the offensive side of the ball. We're looking at Devontae Adams coming back off of injury. I think Aaron Jones has been able to do wonderful things on that Packers offense. I do think that we still have weapons. There's still room for opportunity and room to grow. I think where we probably need some help is probably on the defensive side of the ball, but there really wasn't anybody worth going out there and grabbing on the defensive side of the ball. So yeah, I'm totally on board. I'm perfectly okay. I don't think the Packers regret not making a trade by any means. Now, Injuries could pop up, but at that point, you're going to probably look at free agency. You're going to look for the next man up. But I don't think there was really anyone out there on the trade block that I would have wanted to, kind of sacrifice our future for. Because we do have big contracts coming up. We have Kenny Clark that we have to re-sign in the near future. We're looking at guys like Aaron Jones, which in a year or two we may want to have to re-sign him as well. You have Bakhtiari. You got a whole bunch of different guys scattered all throughout our roster that are going to be more important to than what we just need to pick up. And on the trade block. So I'm perfectly fine with the trade being completely over. We can put a nail in it. We don't have to talk about it anymore, and that is okay with me, 100%. Any luck there connecting with the Discord? I'm just curious if it's working or not. I don't think I have anybody in here. Let's see. What else we got there? So the Packers want to bring back Campbell and Sternberger, right? Wouldn't we need another roster spot? So I kind of touched upon that just now. We let 2 guys go as far as Darius Shepard. A little bit surprised by that one, quite frankly. I'm not sure if it's someone that might get picked up by another team. It's very possible he doesn't get picked up by another team whatsoever. It's someone that we could probably bring into training camp next year or in the off season to add to that. And then you look at Evan Bayless. He did not play that big of a role or any role, quite frankly, in our tight end group. So they let those 2 guys go. You then go out and sign Tremont Smith, and then you bring on Jay Sternberger. So those are our guys right now. I think I'm really curious if they will. I'm really curious what's going through the mind of Tremont Smith, because he was on the Packers roster a couple weeks ago. He thought he had a good thing going, and then sure as shit, he ends up getting cut. Kind of probably a little bit salty, I would imagine. But then he gets another NFL contract, another shot with the Packers, and he better be a bigger role because our special teams is absolutely horrible. I am nervous every single time that the Packers either receive a kick or a punt. I have never been more nervous about our special teams group. I cannot recall a time where I've been more nervous about that. So hopefully we can bring him into the fold. We can kind of utilize his skill set, and we can get some better special teams play from the kick return and from the punt returner, because that is a huge area of improvement, or it could use a huge area of improvement on the Packers roster. So. What else we got here? No, it's not what it's called. I don't know. Why don't you put in your Discord, and I'll see if I can invite you to the chat room. How about we do it that way? What do you think about Usain Bolt wanting to play for the Packers? Well, I think it will never happen. The guy is extremely skinny. He said he would play for 2 teams, right? I think I read this. He would like to play for the Packers or the Patriots, so he obviously understands who the Super Bowl contenders are in the NFL this season. And he probably appreciates, too, the history that goes along with the Patriots, goes along with the Packers. I don't think there's anything really to take away from it, but you got to respect, a guy, definitely, world record runner, fastest man on the face of the planet, wanting to play football, and he wants to play with the Green Bay Packers. I mean, that's pretty respectful, but there's no way in hell that guy ever suits up, puts on some pads. I mean, running in pads, quite frankly, is completely different than running, in just shoes and in a onesie or whatever he runs in. Ibrahim Campbell. I'm not really sure what's going on with him. I didn't really see a whole lot. Let me go to a different tab here. Ibrahim Campbell. So safety, you signed August 8th, 2019. I assume that you're a big fan of Campbell. I mean, yeah, he did come out and he had some good. I think he was probably one of the better tacklers that we had on special teams. But I like what we have now that Darnell Savage is back. You have to love that. You have to love what we've seen out of Sullivan. You gotta love what some of those backup players in that safety room have been able to do. But I think as long as you have Amos and as long as you have Savage there, those are obviously your 2 main components. And I guess if we're talking about roster positions that have kind of surprised me so far, I'm really surprised that we haven't seen Captain America. What the hell is his name? Why is it Ty Summers. I'm surprised we haven't seen Ty Summers really at all implemented into the defensive side of the ball and trying to get some more playing time. Just in some different formations. I'm curious. It really shuts down as far as how practices go and who kind of steps up and who makes moves throughout practices, because it's all closed practices in the regular season. But he was a guy that I saw heading into training camp. He was a guy that had opportunity in training camp to get himself onto the field and make plays. He's someone that I'm rather surprised has not found his way into any sort of rotation on that Packers defense so far. I don't know what my name is called. I'm pretty sure it's Pour Another Packers Podcast is what you're looking for if you want to connect to my Discord channel. Here. Oh, there it is. Let's share the link. We will share the link. HTTPS. Hang tight, guys. This guy wants to call in. You guys can all call in if you want to. We'll take over the air phone calls, and I will address some of your questions, if you will. That should take you to where you need to go. Hopefully that takes you to where you need to go. So, can Sullivan be a good special teams player? He has to be a good special teams player. That's where you want out of your second string or second or third string players at any position, right? So you definitely need him to step up in that role. If he's not going to get a ton of reps on the defensive side of the ball, I do think he can be a good special teams player. I've been pleasantly surprised what he can do on the Packers defense with, he was able to get an interception a couple weeks ago. He was able to fill in for Darnell Savage as he was struggling through his injuries. So you have to love what you've been able to get out of him so far, and he has to be a great special teams player if he's definitely going to find himself sticking around on the roster. I think hands down he'd be a great player. We released Darius and got Tremont Smith back at kick returner. I'm aware of this. We've discussed this. This is kind of the biggest news. I mean, the fact that we didn't go out there and grab someone, we didn't trade for anyone, perfectly okay with that. We did make some moves in that concern. Still kind of shocking that Shepard is no longer on the roster. I feel like the guy kind of got the short end of the stick, if you will. But hopefully he can bounce back. Hopefully he can still find himself an NFL career. He was a really good high draft pick that we seem to have wasted. But hopefully it doesn't come back to bite us in the ass anytime soon. We got Big B finally in the room. Welcome, Big B. I didn't see you last week. Same thing with you, Podcast 1919. Thank you guys for tuning in. You guys did not show up last week. I was waiting for your guys' questions or some of your comments or just any sort of input to float around. I did not see you appear really at all last week. So thanks for tuning in this week. Made some changes to the decor, if you will. It looks like I have a potential call-in, so let's see if we can make this thing work, right? So let's join call from Grant. Okay. Turn my volume. What's up? Can you hear me? Maybe not. Technical difficulties. Well, we'll see if he starts talking. What else we got out there? I'm happy they cut Shep. He wasn't a dynamic person for us, and I have been praising Lazard since we got him. I absolutely love Lazard. Lazard is quickly growing as my favorite Packers player or my up-and-comer. I mean, he's kind of the Jake Kumaro of last year where he's just this big-bodied guy. He goes out there, he makes catches. I'm really excited to see what the Packers can do or decide to do with the addition of Davante Adams, hopefully coming back on Sunday against the Chargers, because that is looking like it's going to be the way that the Packers use him or go for him. And then you add in Lazard, and I like the idea of Geronimo Allison and MVS not having to step up into that number one wide receiver role. We can use those guys in different formations or different, use their assets in different ways because they're just not working as the number one wide receiver option. It's going to be very nice to have someone else in there at that number one, especially when we're talking about a guy like Davante, who is Aaron Rodgers' safety blanket. He's the guy that you want to have, when you're at the 10-yard line, the 5-yard line, you're trying to punch in the end zone. He has been the guy that the Packers have been severely missing over the last couple weeks to get those touchdowns, to get those points up on the board. So be a huge advantage and a huge, just moment for us if we can get him back. I'm getting some volume here on this voice call. So Grant, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, hold on. Let's see if I can turn up the volume. I don't know why you're so quiet. Do you know why you're so quiet? Oh, let's see here. Well, I can hear you. I don't think it's going to pick up on the camera though, so maybe I'll just repeat what you ask. Or do you know? What's up? You got a question?
What was I gonna say? I just think how we're playing right now, like we're in one more good spot. I feel like we have a shot at the Super Bowl. We just gotta keep on going. We get Monty back next week, obviously. It's nice. It's going good.
No, I would agree with you. I'm holding this up to the camera right now. I think we got to figure out a way. Maybe I'm technically struggling here as well, as far as. Oh wait, hold on. All right, now speak. Let's do this one more time. I heard your question, but repeat it for the viewers.
Oh, I said I think that we're doing a good job right now, sitting at 7-1. I feel like our offense is clicking a lot, and like we're getting chemistry going. I feel like our defense needs to play a little bit better, but we should be good. Thank you.
No, yeah. Thanks for calling in. I would agree 100%. I mean, there's a lot of praise throughout the media. There's a lot of hype when it comes to us as Packers fans of what we're seeing. I mean, if you would have asked, I mean, I did my schedule prediction way back in April. Go back and take a look at it. I did not think that we would be a 7-1 team at this point, halfway through the year. We knew that the offense would definitely have a learning curve, especially considering that Rodgers did sit out all throughout preseason, and that they had to kind of get things going. And once they did start getting things going, and things started to click, very kind of in that Dallas game, and then they really started to explode more so after the Oakland game. So they've been kind of rolling here for the last 2 weeks. It's very easy for us to get jacked up and excited about what this team can do. Now, I do have my hesitations when it comes to whether or not this can be a Super Bowl team, and a lot of my hesitations comes back to this defense. Now, this defense, ever since Week 4 against the Philadelphia Eagles, the only loss of the year, they've kind of lost a step as far as their swagger or what they've been able to do to disrupt offenses, and I'm not entirely sure what that could possibly attribute to. Maybe there's just more focus that you have on the Smiths and protecting your quarterback, or what the offense have been able to do, and I don't know if that's necessarily the case. But I'm really struggling to see whether or not you look at defenses like the Saints, you look at defenses like New England, you look at defenses like San Francisco. Those three defenses are complete monsters. They are, in my opinion, a step above what Green Bay has been able to prove week in and week out that they can do. Now, I think the elements are there. I love what I have on one side of my field with Jair Alexander. I'm really having a hard time getting behind Kevin King. Again, on Sunday night against the Chiefs, he did seem to struggle in coverages, or getting burnt, or just tackling, and tackling in general was pretty porous throughout the entire Kansas City game. But I like what I have at safety. I like what I have along the defensive line, but they got to put a full game together on that defense. They got to try and get back to that dominant side, because this offense is definitely firing at all cylinders. I would say for the last, 3 weeks, the offense has carried us to victories. The defense has been able to do enough to keep the Packers in the game, or to not make things too difficult for that offense. But that, in my opinion, that's something that the Packers definitely need to figure out in the second half of this season, is how they can get their defense to be more disrupting than it already is, get more takeaways, get to the quarterback more. I know it seems like I'm asking a lot, because this defense is playing great. We're talking about both the Smiths, who have a combined 14, 15 sacks at this point of this season, but it's not quite what I'm feeling. I remember driving home Sunday night after watching the game. I remember just kind of thinking to myself, does something just not quite feel right as far as whether or not this can be our Super Bowl year? I think anything can happen when you hit the playoffs, but I personally have not seen what I want to see, and maybe that will change. I mean, we're 4 weeks away until we play the Niners. That's going to be a huge opportunity to prove, I think, to not only myself but the rest of Packers Nation, or the rest of the NFL, whether or not this can be a Super Bowl team. But you have to be happy. I mean, just enjoy the journey. Life's a journey, not a destination. It's just like the Packers season. Go one game at a time. You have to love where we're sitting right now at 7-1. Things could not really be looking any better, because you look at that offense with getting Davante Adams back. They should only improve. You've seen an emergence out of Aaron Jones, who has 11 touchdowns and leads the league, and what he's been able to do in our backfield and in the passing game. And I think if that defense can turn a corner, and then if we can just somehow improve that special teams, I don't think that's a must to get yourself into the Super Bowl because our punter and J.K. Scott's solid, but you definitely want to find out what you can do at the kick returning position. Hopefully Tremon Smith can bring a lot of improvement to that kicking side of it. So thanks for calling in, Grant. If any of you guys want to call in, I did leave my link up there above. It's a Discord link, so chime in. I will take your phone calls, take your questions throughout the podcast. We're only about 20 minutes in, and we're going to go for about another 20-25 minutes. Let's scroll back up and hit some of these comments. The Packers did not trade for anyone, Kyler, so I'm sorry if that disappoints you, but I love what we have out of this Packers team. It's perfectly capable. I think the pieces are there to get to where we need to go. What's been the most surprising part of the offense so far? Do you think there will be any major changes after Adams? I touched upon this just a second ago. Let me clear up my, or get some fluid in my in my throat here. So the biggest surprise on offense has to be Aaron Jones. We knew he could be a good running back. We looked at his 5.5 yards per carry that he averaged last season in a very boring, broken Mike McCarthy offense. And he hasn't quite gotten up to that 5.5 yards per carry this year, but what he has been able to do is come out of the backfield and become a receiving threat on multiple levels for the Packers, and that is easily my biggest surprise. Now, you pair up Davante Adams when he does come back as the guy that you have to watch on the perimeter, and then you open up an equally deadly component in your backfield that you have to worry about not only on running. And then I also love what I've seen from Jamal Williams, too. I think both these guys complement each other so well. That's easily my biggest surprise, and the Packers, quite frankly, have not had that caliber of a running back behind Aaron Rodgers for, well, probably ever. You can make a small argument maybe for Eddie Lacy when he had his really solid year, but I think Rodgers went out with his collarbone the best year that Lacy had for us. And then you look at, maybe a Ryan Grant, or you look at a James Starks, who was our quarterback, or excuse me, who was our running back in the Super Bowl. That beer starts to get you. It gives you the hiccups a little bit. So, you have to be excited about what we can do with that running back game, especially when the weather starts to turn and it gets colder, and we need to definitely pick up more yards on the ground versus going through the air. So, how do you feel about our defense? I've discussed that a little bit. I think our defense is struggling. It's making me nervous. Love to see MVS in a slot and have Lazard and Adams on the outside. I'd love to see a whole bunch of different formations that they can do with these guys. We have seen, in my opinion, which is what this podcast essentially dives into, is that I think Lazard is more than capable of taking more responsibility in that offense. And that could be someone that you could put at the number 2 wide receiver spot. And then you can use the speed of MVS, or you could use the speed of Allison, kind of in that slot position. It seems like Lazard has that capability to just kind of go up and get the ball, box out his opponent. He's such a tall, weighty guy, very tough cover, and he's only going to get better, which is something that it can kind of start to give you chills. Sad to see Shepard go. This one's from it all moved on me. This one's from Big B. Sad to see Shepard go. He had a great story. Definitely happy Allen Lazard is getting a chance. Yeah, I'm surprised. I got a text. I didn't even get that notification. My dad texted out that Shepard was let go. Very surprising to see him let go. And we kept Ryan Grant, and that now he becomes kind of the bottom of the barrel, or the lowest receiver on our depth chart. But the Packers have realized that they've been able to survive with only 4 or 5 wide receivers, and then you bring on Davante Adams. You have to think that things are going to go good for them. And the fact that they didn't trade for a wide receiver just tells you how much confidence that they have in those guys. And a lot of that boils down to Aaron Rodgers and what he's able to do out of just the talent that he has at wide receiver. Are you worried about Tremon Williams' penalties? I'm not. It's not really, honestly, Chris, that's not something that's crossed my mind a whole lot. I think he's kind of that slow and steady veteran guy that we have on that Packers defense. Would you like to see less? Yeah, I think the one that was called on him on Sunday night, away from the play, hands to the face, you have that. I mean, you obviously don't like to see that, especially when it's third down and you potentially take Kansas City out of the equation of getting a touchdown. So you don't like to see that whatsoever. But the thing that I've noticed about Williams is that he just kind of stays underneath the radar. He does his job. He doesn't, make waves. He's not boisterous by any means, but he definitely goes out there. He gets the job done. I look at cornerback in the very early, NFL draft predictions that we need one more corner, and whether it's the absence of Tremon Williams or it's just the lack of reliability that we have at Kevin King's position. That's kind of what I see in that cornerback group. But there's definitely improvement that can happen in that cornerback group. Never wanted to get AJ Green from the Bengals, metal fingers. So I am perfectly fine that we did not go out there. And here's the thing: you would have had him for half the season. He becomes a free agent. He's been struggling with injuries a lot as of late. He was never a person that I was eager to go out there and sign from that wide receiver. The name is pretty much the only reason why you'd sign him, and I was never on board with the AJ Green train by any mean. I wake up from a dead sleep thinking about that Eagles game. That Eagles game is a tough one, a tough pill to swallow. The Eagles team in general is a really hard team to figure out. You want to talk about just an up and down season. I thought back, as I was driving home tonight from work, I'm trying to think of some of the things that I want to talk about. Kind of thinking about where we're sitting. We're 7-1, right? We're heading, 2 more games. We have our bye week. There's a lot of opportunity to go into our bye week, sitting at 9-1, and all the possibilities there. That Eagles game was the only. Yes, I picked the Packers every single week so far this season, so I am 7-1, just like the Packers record. And I think back to that Eagles game, the Packers should have had everything working in their favor for that game. They had a banged up Eagles team. The Packers were riding hot off of 2 big time victories against division opponents in the Bears and the Vikings. It was a Thursday night football game under the lights. The Packers should have definitely came away with that one. You had 2 goal line opportunities to punch it in the end zone, but that was kind of that's part of the growing process, right? That's something that we have to remember and realize that, this is part of how we've gotten to the type of offense that we have right now is the struggles that we've had to endure. And unfortunately, that one came away with a loss, but we've been able to have some, real big learning moments from the Detroit Lions game where we were able to squeak out a win. And we look at even the Kansas City game last week. By no means should that game have been as close as it was, but the Packers were able to come away with a victory. But I think they were able to also learn a lot from that game as well, which hopefully they can build upon and only become better as the season continues to go on into November, which is, a couple days away. Packers had a chance to get Jonathan Taylor. Would you get him? I think so. I think that I don't know why you wouldn't. It depends, obviously, at what point in the draft you're drafting from and if he's available or not. I'm really surprised. You look at Jonathan Taylor and his performance last Saturday against the Ohio State Buccaneers. I did it again. Ohio State Buckeyes. Oh my gosh, I don't know why that Freudian slip comes out every time. But he was essentially shut down. That has you a little bit concerned of maybe is he as good as we think he is. I will definitely be keeping my eye on Taylor as the season progresses, but I think he's definitely fallen off of the Heisman possibilities. And, if you can add a quality running back like that, I don't know why you wouldn't. I just don't know why you wouldn't. He was also on Tyreek Hill. They are not easy to guard because the Chiefs are fast, but I agree. A couple plays he got caught staring at the quarterback. Tyreek Hill's an absolute beast. Now, the Kansas City Chiefs in general are a phenomenal football team. That's something that, I don't watch the Chiefs every week, but it's really eye-opening. I had someone said, could you imagine if Aaron Rodgers was on the Chiefs or if Aaron Rodgers had the Chiefs' weapons on the Packers? And all I could think to myself was that's Patrick Mahomes, right? If Patrick Mahomes has all the capabilities and all the upside that Aaron Rodgers brings to the table, he has the talent, he has the arm strength, he has the playmaking ability, he's able to scramble, he's able to make no-look passes. The Chiefs are an incredibly scary team in the AFC, and I'm not sure what has really happened to them with their 2 of their losses that they had at home against the Colts and the Texans. But that is a team that if we are fortunate enough to make it to the Super Bowl and we have to face off against the Kansas City Chiefs, I'll tell you right now, I'd much rather face the New England Patriots than the Kansas City Chiefs, because with a healthy Patrick Mahomes, that is going to be a whole sort of problems for that defense or any defense that has to go up against them. So, absolutely shocking. And they have tons of weapons. And the Packers played a 2-man, 2 deep safety defense throughout that entire game, and they didn't go away from that game plan whatsoever. I really thought that they should have blitzed Kansas City a hell of a lot more. It got to a point of pure frustration for me on why they were just not getting to Matt Moore in the backfield, but they stuck with their game plan. They kind of let things play out. They didn't give up any, 30, 40-yard plays, which is what Kansas City is known for. They weathered the storm, if you will, and you have to wonder if Patrick Mahomes is in the game if they have a different defensive strategy, because what they did on Sunday wasn't beautiful. It wasn't pretty, but it got the job done. And kudos to the Packers offense for definitely throwing some more points up there and making it happen. What else we got out here? Again, thank you guys for tuning in. What we got? 9:30. We're 30 minutes into this fest. About 3/4 of the way through the beer. I did want to point out, since I got so much grief last time, I am rocking a Leinenkugels home here in Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin. So I don't want to hear any more grief about whether or not I'm drinking, Wisconsin beers, because I'm rocking one here tonight. Any news on Jay Sternberger? Yes, I do have news on Jay Sternberger. So Jay Sternberger is officially cleared from IR. He was added to the roster today because they let go of Evan Bayless. They let go of Darius Shepard, as we discussed before. So Jay Sternberger now comes to the roster. He now has that opportunity to be active on Sunday against the Chargers, and it'll be really interesting to see what they do with him, because we haven't really been able to get Robert Tonyan involved all that much. We try to get Graham involved, and he's easily our most overpaid, worthless pile of junk that we have on the offense. And then Mercedes Lewis, man, I love that guy. He is just Mr. Dependable, Mr. Steady. He seems to have great hands. He catches everything. He had a great catch along the sideline that was really reminiscent of that Jared Cook catch. He was just waiting for it, and his toes were in. Absolutely great catch. But I don't know how much Jay Sternberger plays a role unless, Matt LaFleur starts to kind of game plan as far as how he wants to incorporate him into that offense. But he's healthy. He's back. He can play. And I'm really hoping that they start to integrate him more, and we can get a chance to see him, because he's a big wide receiver is really what he is. He's more than talented, and I'm really excited to see what we can do with him. Can I call in some other time where I can get a better connection? Grant, if you want to call in every Tuesday night, it's actually moving to Monday nights. You're welcome to call in every single time. And that goes for the rest of you. If you guys want to actually get your voice in here and ask a question, give me your thoughts on the Packers defense or offense or Packers team. I have the link up above. I probably should have copy and pasted it. I'll copy and paste it right now. I don't know what I'm doing. Yep, there we go. Yep, going great. There, perfect. So yeah, feel free to call in, guys. I have the Discord app open. We'll take your calls, and you can get your voice on here and really let me know your emotions and what you're feeling about this Packers team. Let's see here. Everybody's talking to Kyler right now. Everybody, I mean, he's taking the entire attention out of that chat group. You guys have full. You guys just talk amongst yourselves, I guess, is how we'll handle this one. Thoughts on the 49ers? This one's from Jambo. So, 49ers. This one's tough for me. I have a friend, at least I like to refer to him as a friend, who is a huge 49ers fan. And for the longest time, I've been able to give him so much shit over the years. We used to do bets on who would have better records, and obviously I would win those bets year in and year out. But I think the 49ers are a force to be reckoned with, and it really looks like they they look like a complete team. They really look like a complete team right now. I look at the power rankings, whether you want to go off of NFL.com, ESPN, Bleacher Report, whatever suits your fancy for power rankings. You have Patriots at number 1. I think they stay there just because of their pedigree, and their defense looks really good too. At number 2, you have to go with the 49ers, just because they're undefeated. They completely had just an ass whooping of the Carolina Panthers on Sunday, which is a surprise to me. I thought that could potentially be a much closer game than what it turned out to be. And then you look at the Saints coming in at 3, and for the most of the power rankings, you have the Packers at number 4. I think that is a fair place to put them. I think unless the Packers start blowing out these teams, start having high defensive performances with their high offensive performances, that 4 is the perfect spot for them. I think they're ahead of the Vikings. I think they're ahead of obviously anyone else in the NFC. I think they're ahead of Seattle. But I would definitely agree that both the Saints and the 49ers, just as an overall team, have been playing better, and they deserve those positions much better than us. But you have to look forward to that 49ers game. The Packers have a huge advantage, right? So they get to go into their bye week, or they have their bye week. They have a week off. They get to kind of relax, rejuvenate, get things going again, and then they get to go over to San Francisco and face off against the Niners. And the Niners, they had a very early bye week. They had their bye week around week 3, week 4. And so they're going to be, kind of in the middle of the thick of things, in the middle of the season. And they're going to have to prepare for a Green Bay Packer team who's obviously going to be looking to hopefully just, kill them. But I'm thinking that the 49ers, I'd have to look at, let's just take a look at their schedule real quick here, right? Schedule. But I'm thinking, if it's very possible that the 49ers could be undefeated before the Packers come to town. So, yeah, they play... Oh, yeah, I saw this earlier. So, they play the Cardinals on Thursday night. There's a win. They play Seattle on Monday night, and it looks like that game is in San Francisco. So, there's your one shot at the 49ers getting their first loss of the year against the Seattle Seahawks. Now, remember, that's a divisional battle. Both of these teams are obviously, top 6, top 7 in the league, because I'm just going with Seattle and where they sit, and they'll be kind of fighting for that divisional, win, and so they can get themselves a playoff spot. So that's going to obviously the only matchup. They then get to play the Cardinals again, and then they play Green Bay. So if I'm looking at the remainder of the 49ers schedule, just to go through it real quick, after us, they play the Ravens, they play the Saints. Those are going to be 2, I think, hard-fought battles. I think they come away with one of those 2. And then you look at the Falcons, the Rams, and then the Seahawks again. So their second half of the season, we're really going to figure out what this 49ers team is made up of. Outside of the 2 matchups that they have against the Cardinals, the rest of their games are kind of, 2 games against the Cardinals and the Falcons, so they just beat up on birds, essentially. The rest of their schedule is going to be pretty tough. We're really going to figure out if this team is capable of kind of making a push for the Super Bowl, or if they're going to be kind of a pretender. But up to this point, the proof's in the pudding. If you're 7-0, you definitely have earned that. Nothing is easy in the NFL, and you have to respect the 49ers and definitely not look past them by any stretch of the imagination. Should the Packers trade for Aqib Talib or any quarterback? Well, you can't. Trade deadline's over, and Aqib Talib found his way on the Miami Dolphins. My heart goes out to him. What a terrible feeling that must be. You go from the defending NFC Championship Rams to the worst team in the NFL. But that's poor guy. So we can't trade for anybody. Trade deadline's over, and boy, am I glad that the trade deadline is over. I talked about that earlier. What else we got here? Doesn't have the experience as Rodgers does. It's the difference. Would be at the Chiefs' weapons. Will Ryan Grant ever play? I don't think Ryan Grant does ever play. I don't. I think he's a special teams guy. You use him to, as a gunner down the sidelines to make plays, to make tackles, but I don't think that we'll ever see Ryan Grant materialize as a true wide receiver in our Packers offense, which I know makes some people disappointed, but it doesn't make me disappointed by any stretch of the imagination. So let's see. It looks like I had a potential call from Podcast 1919. So let's just we'll click on this. We'll join the call. We'll go to what's up, man?
Hey man, how are you?
I'm good. Let me turn up the volume, because every time I do this, the volume gets turned down. So I'm reading some of your comments in the comment section there. What you calling in for?
Thing as Rodgers. Like I was saying, the only difference there is that Aaron has the experience in having all of those weapons. So if you were to have a Tyreek Hill or a Nicole Hardman or a Travis Kelce, he would be far more dangerous than Mahomes is currently right now, just from the experience alone. Then going towards the 49ers, I think we match up better with the 49ers than any other team, just because Kyle Allen didn't know what he was getting into, and he doesn't read defenses like Aaron Rodgers does. And one thing Aaron has had really good success in is that attacking 3-4 defense that the Niners are running, especially with that, the single high safety that they run really often because they blitz the other safety, and this quick release. So that's my thoughts on that. And love the show. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for calling in. So yeah, a couple things to unpack there. So his first, he started out with the question or the comment of as far as the difference between Aaron Rodgers and having those chief weapons versus Patrick Mahomes. And don't get me wrong, I agree 100%. I think if you had Aaron Rodgers and his experience in the league, just what he's been able to see and just dissect with that experience throughout in his career definitely gives him an advantage in looking at those weapons, makes those weapons even more deadly having Aaron Rodgers under center. But I do love you have to look at the capabilities and the upside of Patrick Mahomes. Now, this is just his second season as a starter quarterback out there in Kansas City. But I'll take Aaron Rodgers, but I think also that Patrick Mahomes has, just been gifted some very talented offensive weapons, and it's going to be, up to them to kind of figure it out and get this season back on track for Kansas City. Hopefully he comes back on Sunday when they face off against the Vikings, because we need the Vikings to find themselves with another loss. In regards to the 49ers, one thing that I don't think we talk about enough, maybe I talk about it more than I even realize. But as we approach that game plan, you're looking at, Kyle Shanahan and Matt LaFleur. These guys definitely have coaching history. They used to coach together out there in Washington with the Redskins. They're both very young and up and coming coaches in the NFL, and you have to give more credit. And it's definitely something that I'm looking forward to diving into when I do my final thoughts video when that game definitely rolls around. But you have to give a lot of credit to what Matt LaFleur has been able to do for the Packers when it comes to their scheming and their game planning. And when you listen to some of these interviews, like Aaron Jones, for example, after the game, they're asking him if, did they think that he would have this type of performance? Do you think he would have this type of success within the game or with just within the offense? And they always reference back to Matt LaFleur about how he's able to, he saw something on film that he thought that we could take advantage of, and he was able to kind of game plan that into it. So that's going to be an element to that, and I'm really looking forward. For the longest time, you think back to great coaching battles, between even a Mike McCarthy or Bill Belichick, which I don't even know if Mike McCarthy is that great of a coach. But you have this opportunity to have these two really good coaches that are definitely pride is going to be on the line. Not only is it NFC rankings that's going to be on the line, Matt LaFleur is going to be out there to prove that he is the better coach. He's an ultimate competitive guy. You have the guy like Aaron Rodgers, who should probably win that quarterback battle against Jimmy Garoppolo, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. We're looking forward, almost a month away at this point before that 49ers game, and there's a lot that can happen between now and then as far as just the roster and what we have kind of cooking for us at that time, and if this offense can start to kind of get back on track with Devontae Adams back in the lineup. So yeah, dude, definitely thanks for calling in, Packers 1919. Anytime you have a YouTube name that involves Green Bay, Packers, Aaron Rodgers, something like that, or just the fact 1919, like I have, kind of in this banner here, you're a true Packer fan. And I love that we have some true Packer fans that have tuned in religiously and have supported this channel. So thanks a lot for doing that, and thanks again for calling in. What else we got out there? We've been streaming for 42 minutes. Usually these things go about 45 minutes or 50 minutes long, but I find myself in a groove right now. So Jace is not on the roster yet, I don't think. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they moved him to the roster this afternoon with the release of Evan Baylis and Darius Shepard. I could be wrong, like I said, but he's definitely able to come off of IR. He's able to practice with the team. He should be an active part of that roster here in the very near future. If not against the Chargers, definitely Panthers bye week, however that decides to fall off. Live broadcast is moving to Mondays. Yes. So now I got some of my faithful crew in here. I will announce that, and I'll talk about this on my final thoughts video. But live broadcasts will have to move to Monday nights at 9 p.m. I got my work schedule changed, so I work until 8 o'clock on Tuesdays. I work till 8 today. Sometimes I can work late. I don't want to. If you guys are comfortable with me, possibly going live at 9:30 or 9:45, I can stick with Tuesdays. But for the most part, the Packers only have one more Monday night game, and it's against the Minnesota Vikings, so we can figure out a tweak on that one. But otherwise, the Packers have Sunday games throughout the rest of the season, and I think Monday nights work just fine. Nobody really cares about those Monday night football games anyway. They're garbage. It's the Dolphins versus the Steelers. Did anybody even watch that game last night? I ended up watching The Lion King because I found that would be more interesting than what happened in the NFL last night. So yes, the live broadcast will move to Mondays, and why not? I mean, everybody hates Monday. It's the start of the work week. Let's have a drink at the end of the day and reminisce about a Packers victory. I think that's the best way that you can spend Mondays, in my opinion. So what else we got going on out here in the interwebs? Don't know if anyone mentioned already, but thoughts on Darius Shepard? Oh yeah, we talked about it. Kyle, you tuned into the broadcast way too late. You're going to have to wait till this thing goes live or it posts on YouTube. You'll have to rewind it and watch it again. Or we can talk about it at work tomorrow. But we've already talked about Darius Shepard. I don't want to say Shepard's name one more time tonight. It's official. I'm not talking about it anymore. Do you think Rodgers is back in the MVP discussion? Absolutely! I do think he's in the MVP discussion. You can see these drinks are starting to set in, by the way. I should probably have a couple more of them before I go live because it might be more entertaining. And that's probably why I'm moving it to Mondays as well. But, I mean, how is Rodgers not in the MVP conversation? Let's look at some of his statistics because I did have that pulled up. I mean, here, let's go this one. So we talk about Davante Adams going out of the game, and I'm sure some of you guys possibly saw the statistics, but ever since Davante Adams went out in Week 3 against the Eagles, Rodgers has a 69.1 completion percentage. He has 1,255 yards, 9.2 yards per attempt, 10 touchdowns, 1 interception, which came off of Darius Shepard's face, and I've said his name again, so we cut him, got rid of him, and he has a 119.58 passer rating ever since Adams went out. So he's gotten in the groove of being part of this Matt LaFleur offense. They've definitely kind of iron things out, and it only gets you more excited for what the rest of this season can look like. But the only thing that keeps him from being at the very top of that MVP list is the just absolutely awful or unfortunate start to the season where the offense couldn't get things going against Chicago, couldn't really get things going against Minnesota, even struggled against the Denver Broncos. They put a bunch of points up against the Eagles, but they couldn't find themselves with a victory. So outside of those games, if Rodgers can continue this success, and I don't see it stopping anytime soon. You look at just him and LaFleur just bro hugging it out on the sidelines, and just that relationship and how it's grown and how they trust each other very early on in their relationship. But it definitely looks like it's shaping up to be an MVP season. And if you look at his previous seasons in 2011 and 2014, he's actually pacing for better statistics this season than he did in those 2 years. So I don't know why you'd bet against him. I'm really just super glad that he's succeeding the way he is because so many people wrote him off. And yeah, he definitely needs to be in that MVP discussion 110%. Graham25 tuned in. Thank you, man. You're also one of those very loyal subscribers and viewers. So, but speaking of, this little subscriber bar hasn't moved at all. So if you are just casually watching and you'd like to subscribe to Porn Packers podcast, go ahead and hit that subscription button, and that will move it one step closer to 1,000, where I will give away this canvas in the background to one lucky winner. That could be you. You're going to head-to-head with Monday Night Raw. Well, it's much better than going head-to-head with Friday Night SmackDown because, boy, oh boy, is Fox just advertising the shit out of that, and does anybody really care? I cared on the first night because The Rock came out, and that was pretty cool. Everybody loves to know what The Rock is cooking, or smells what The Rock is cooking. But yeah, I'll go head-to-head with Monday Night Raw because I don't even care about Monday Night Football at this point. They get the bottom of the barrel games, and it's too bad for them. The Dolphins must be tanking because they had a lead. Big B bringing up Jace is just a rumor or a prediction, but I would rather bring up Campbell because of Tanya. There's a lot of talk about Ibrahim Campbell on this podcast. And maybe I don't have all the answer, guys. I've talked about that before. He hasn't really jumped out at me a whole lot on that Packers roster as someone that I think that we gotta have as far as in the game more. But there's a lot of fans from out there, and I'm definitely going to be starting to pay a little bit more attention to what he can do. And I would agree with you 100% that Raven Green has jumped up on the depth chart or his ability. Sorry, I was just reading one of those comments. You're welcome for the sub. That's from Yoder Bo, and I don't know why my bar up here is not updating. Apparently, again, technical difficulties have ruled the Porn Packers live feeds. So yeah, Aaron Jones has 11 touchdowns. Leads the league in touchdowns, absolutely brilliant. You look at who's behind him. You have Christian McCaffrey at 9. You have who's the other guy? I think it could be Alvin Kamara. Don't quote me on that. But he's has some really good competition for 9 total touchdowns on the season, and he's sitting at 11. So yeah, guys, we are 49 minutes into this. This is my longest live stream. We have 15 current viewers. If you guys have any more questions, go ahead and ask them. It's last call. Last call here on Power Packers podcast. Feel free to call in or ask your questions. Otherwise, we're going to wrap this up. We're going to enjoy the rest of the week. I will go my final thoughts video on Friday, and then we will face off against the Los Angeles Chargers. Does anybody want to talk about the Chargers? Should we touch upon the Chargers a little bit before we wrap up the video, or should we save that for Friday? That's completely up to you guys. This is your channel as much as it is my channel. I just came up with that last call thing too, and I'm pretty proud of myself. That's perfect for a Pour Another channel. I'm just going to kind of sit here and enjoy that to a point. So I'm looking forward to Los Angeles because nobody apparently wants to comment. You guys have all fallen asleep, but thank you for viewing. If you caught the end of that Bears game, I had some thoughts as far as just how poor the coaching was from both perspectives, whether you're looking at Matt Nagy or whoever the hell the coach is for the Los Angeles Chargers, because I don't really know who that is. But here the Bears are. They're down by all they need is a game-winning field goal. I think they're down by 1 point. All they need is a game-winning field goal to win the game. Chargers have 3 timeouts, and the Bears get into field position where they can go ahead and make a 50-yard touchdown to win the game, right? So what does Los Angeles do? Well, with like a minute 20 in the game, they start burning through their timeouts. Now, I don't know what the thought process is whatsoever, because now you're giving the Bears an opportunity to not only slow down and kind of game plan for how to move the field, or move the ball down the field, but you're wasting your timeouts. It has no recourse whatsoever. You're not going to get a turnover. So because of that, the Bears start to move the ball closer to the field. It gets down to the 30-yard line. Bears end up kicking a 47-yard field goal, something like that. It was a close field goal. Guys, these drinks are kicking in. I'll talk about this better on Friday. But he burned through all of his timeouts. He didn't even have an opportunity to ice the kicker, which probably, maybe in hindsight, would have worked out well because he missed the field goal, and maybe he misses it, you ice him, and then he ends up making it. But I thought the coaching was awful by Matt Nagy, just the fact that he did not choose to run the ball with about 40 seconds left to get it closer for a field goal, an easier attempt. And I look at the Chargers, I thought that the play calling was really bad there. Now, outside of just how the game ended, Joey Bosa looks like an absolute just monster for the Los Angeles Chargers. He's definitely going to be somebody that we're going to need to watch at all times. Hopefully, Bakhtiari goes through the week. He comes out healthy. Hopefully, Bulaga's healthy. They even talked about on Sunday night that these guys are easily, or could arguably be the best tackle group in the entire NFL. So you have those on both sides of you protecting Aaron Rodgers. But the Chargers, their record doesn't lie. They're 2-6, 2-5. They've had a really rough start to the season, but at the same time, this is a Phillip Rivers team. This is a Melvin Gordon running back team. This is a defense that has a Joey Bosa. This is a team that is able to take away the ball, at least when they're playing Mitch Trubisky. So there's a lot of elements that head into this game. It could almost be a little bit of a sleeper game, or something that you would predict or expect us to go in there in warm weather and dominate the game. I do think that we'll end up with a victory, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Really interesting. So they say 80% Packer fans in LA, and that is a great point too. The Chargers are about as lost as the Oakland Raiders as far as when it comes to their fan base. And there's a lot of truth. It could be a second home away from home for the Packers when they visit out there in Chargers. And I'm just slurring my words more and more. And this has to be a little bit more entertaining to see these drinks start to impact my wonderful analysis when it comes to the Green Bay Packers. So Chargers did fire their offensive coordinator. Thank you, Junior, for pointing that out. Yeah, that could add an element of surprise, too, when it comes to trying to game plan against this. They've been underperforming. The entire team, heading into the year, they were expected to be kind of right there with Kansas City. They came off of a great season last year. Obviously, the drama with Melvin Gordon has probably caused a little bit more rift inside that locker room than what you would like to see. And Melvin Gordon hasn't had, since he came back, his performance has been just absolutely disastrous. So I'm not really sure what we're going to get out of that Chargers team, but this could be, you look at both the Chargers game and the Panthers game, these are great opportunities for Green Bay's defense to face quality opponents, but at the same time improve upon what they were able to start out on very early on in the season. So looking forward to playing home in LA. At least Adams gets an easy opponent to play in his first game back. It should make it easier to reintegrate him. And it's going to be interesting this Sunday. The Chargers still have weapons. Gordon Allen going to be 1-0 to be got to be 1-0 to be 8-1. I agree with that 100%. That is the entire mantra of Matt LaFleur. I'm going to start doing I might do some research tonight as far as this Chargers game to give you guys my final thoughts video on Friday. But real quick before I go, I only got 11 of you guys in here, 12 of you guys in here. Thanks for commenting on my last video. I did not have a whole lot of Chargers fans commenting on my last video, so that's always a nice thing to see. And quite frankly, it was my least performing video that I have put out there so far. But that's probably, it has a lot to do, at least I like to tell myself this to kind of boost up my confidence. With Patrick Mahomes going out, I think all the hype went out of that game. Not a lot of people were as interested in that game as we originally thought. I think a lot of us did think it would be a blowout, including myself. Ended up being a much closer game than any of us could have anticipated. But thanks, guys, again for tuning in. We are about to sign out tonight, 54 minutes into this live feed. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for asking questions. I will be live next Monday night. That is, I believe, the 4th of November. Until then, yeah, I'll see you guys Friday. Tune in on Friday. I'll have my final thoughts video. Enjoy the kickoff. It is a 3:15 or 25 kickoff against the Chargers. And until next time, I will see you on the internet. Thanks for watching.